Yo, yo, yo. What it do, what it do? We are live on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Today we're breaking down cash technique, mainly for the nickels. So we're going to break down the goal of cash technique, what we're doing, how we're supposed to play cash technique, the reason why we play cash technique, and then we're going to watch a couple game film and break it down. So, without further ado, let's get this thing going. All right, let's get this going. Hold on. Set up the green screen. All right, bet. We good? Let's get this thing going.
Hey guys, what's going on? Kyle Brown. I'm currently the Nichols coach at Madison University.
Hold on.
I'm excited to talk some catch man with you guys.
Hold on. You see that cut right there? I don't like that. Still. Gotta make sure this thing is perfect. There you go. Now we good. All right.
So we'll jump right into it. The first thing we like to do is talk about why we're running, right? And I think it has really three main benefits, as you see, right? The first one is denial coverage, right? That's really big for us to understand that we're getting tight windows, we're getting sticky coverage, and allowing our guys to play and compete. That's what our DBs like to do. That's what they want to do. So give them the opportunity to just challenge these receivers and do that standpoint, right? The next thing is
sound is good,
right? Giving these offensive coordinators, these QBs, these receivers a headache, right? Just challenging them and again, right? Disrupting the timing and messing up those concepts. So that's the second piece, and then you move into the last thing that I really like a lot is it declares the routes a whole lot sooner. Right, a lot more than some of our more passive coverages where we're giving a little bit of ground. So, all right, eventually this guy's got to go inside or outside. So we're allowing these guys to make that decision a whole lot sooner. And once that happens, now we limit the route tree and we're allowed to play with a little bit more anticipation, a little bit more speed, and roll from there. So that's why we like it so much. And the next piece is we talk about the route phases. You got to understand what you're covering.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Good
the
point.
Release point, right? For catch, it's often a second level release for these guys,
Yeah.
right? And then you'll go into the stem, right? How are they attacking your leverage, all right? Where are they, how are they setting you up, right? And then that works its way into the top of the route and, getting in and out of the breaks from there. And then the last piece is, the catch point, which is, self-explanatory. So once we go over the why, once we go over the what, we talk about the how. We gotta have a plan, have a plan. Be extremely intentional with what you want to do on the field. So our plan is first to disrupt the release.
What up, football kid? Hey, so cash, you guys got to understand cash technique, right? Coach makes a great point. Understanding why we're playing cash technique, understanding when to use cash technique, and then understanding how we're going to disrupt the release, right? So he does a great job explaining these things, and we're going to go really dive into a little bit more into these three reasons, but you got to understand the objective of catch technique, right? We want to sit, disrupt the route, make them get to the route faster, make them hesitate a little bit to get to their route. So that's why we're playing catch technique right here.
Right?
So
then we want to make sure we're competing through the freaking break point the whole way through, right? Just not letting these guys just run around for free. If they want to run routes on air, we don't want to let it happen. So we're making sure we're competing through the break point, right? We're disrupting the release.
Yes, sir.
Pieces, right,
Appreciate you, football kid.
Contest through everything.
Tell you what's good.
Right? It's not a sin. It's a sin
What
to,
it do,
it's
brother?
Not a sin to give up a catch. It's a sin not to compete. All right. It's not a sin to give up a catch. It's a sin not to compete.
Not a sin to give up a catch. It's a sin.
A little bit more, right? When you want to disrupt the release, it's really big to understand that identifying a release because the routes are paired with their releases. They're not just doing random releases and running random routes all over the field. Everything's tied together. So this comes through a lot of film study, and this comes through just a ton of reps of recognizing and matching our mental process with our physical.
Great point. So he's talking about how film study plays a huge role. So when you're like in game, right, you got to understand the situation when you're in catch technique. Understand, all right, we're playing catch technique. Maybe it's cover 0, or maybe it's cover 1 for nickels, right? You're playing outside shade. You got using the middle of field safety as your help defender, right? So when you're watching film, look at those things you see. Right, look at the receiver. What does he do when he plays against catch technique? How is he playing catch technique against this particular route, this particular coverage, against that particular person who's using catch technique against him? Does he struggle? Does he try to run away from the catch technique? Does he try to give you the move at your attack your toes, give you a move, and then go? So you got to see that as you're watching film, so you get an understanding of how receivers play against catch technique, right? So that's a great point right here. So let's continue going. Hold on, let me answer this question. I am small and my coach put me at safety this week in practice. I like it, but I'm small and it's my first season in tackle and I'm worried and I'm not going to be able to tackle bigger. Don't worry. You can't think about that, football kid. You can't think about that, bro. Each day you just got to work on getting better at tackling, but you got to work on being confident. Don't think about, hey, these guys bigger, blah, blah, blah. Find a tackling technique that works for you. Low target tackling, right? Attack the receiver, attack the ball carrier low, keep your head up, strike the legs, right? Hit and wrap, all that stuff. But you're going to have to work on that technique, continue to build that technique. And then as you get better at it, then you build more confidence in it and it becomes easier. Right? But if you're already thinking, I'm worried about tackling bigger guys and I'm worried about, not making a tackle, you already limited yourself, right? You're playing safety for a reason. You can play safety. Your coach put you there. You're liking it. Now you just got to work on getting better at it, right? It'll come.
Process, right? And allowing guys to have poise with that piece, right? So identifying a route, then dictating.
It will come. You can also work on tackling drills on your own, but it's coming.
Once again, we said we don't want to be passive, right? We want to be aggressive and attack. So we're dictating the breaking points by not giving ground. Right?
Love this. Use
ground as possible.
K21 was good.
That's, dictating the breaking points.
Just use it at first down line and third. Yep. Fourth, I'm not impressed. Yes, sir.
From there, right, it really comes down to staying square, all right, and cutting these angles.
Yep. Staying square, cut the angles off.
Talks about how not opening the gate, so that doesn't change here for us. Then we get into competing through the break. All right, so now the first thing is get attached. All right, and what we mean by that is you get yourself in position, get yourself in phase, in position to cover the route. You don't need to have your face buried in his armpit, all right, but you also don't want to be too far away from the standpoint that you can't challenge the break, you can't challenge the route or anything like that. So
how do I watch the tackling video on the YouTube channel. We got some drills on there.
Number one is get attached. And then, all right, it's all about eye discipline. All right, because
eye discipline, very important.
When you're covering these,
What's that? Am I getting notifications? My fault, y'all. I'm just making sure I'm not getting. All right, we get.
These routes, right? You're in what we call the break zone. All right, most routes break. There's only one, we talk about the one route that doesn't break is the fade ball. So anticipate a break. You're covering, a break more often than not. So have elite eyes down on that head.
Yeah, watch the YouTube video.
Whole way. All right, and that takes us
elite tackling. We got a video on there that explains a couple drills.
Stuff, right? Then play through contact. These guys get coached up to. There's hand fighting. There's push-offs. There's all this stuff. We don't care about it. That's never an excuse on why you can't get your job done. So just compete, especially when there's a little bit of a size mismatch. All right, make sure you understand that that just comes with it. All right, compete through the contact,
yes.
push-offs, the hand fights, all of that stuff.
Great point. So we're gonna listen to this again. For all the guys, the smaller DBs going against bigger receivers, there's not a special technique just because you're going against a bigger receiver. He's taller. The technique really is just to compete, fight, and finish the play. You got to be hungry. Try to finish the play, right?
on that hip, right? Track that guy the whole way, all right? And that takes us,
What is it called when?
Through the break, out of the break, and all that good stuff, right? Then play through contact. These guys get coached up too. There's hand fighting. There's push-offs. There's all this stuff. We don't care about it. That's never an excuse on why you can't get your job done. So just compete, especially when there's a little bit of a size mismatch. All right, make sure you understand that that just comes with it. All right, compete through the contact, push-offs, hand fights, all of that stuff.
Yes.
Right? Don't be surprised by anticipating. Be ready to take it back away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last piece is our footwork. Right?
Type in Team Eyeland tackling video. It should pop up.
You have to be as efficient as possible.
Or you could just go through the channel and then look at the videos. It should be there.
The disadvantage of not knowing where this guy is going, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're limiting routes and anticipating things, but they know exactly where they're going. So we're a step behind, and our footwork has to be even more efficient when we get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? And then the final piece, we said it before, it's not a sin to give up a catch, it's a sin not to compete for a catch. So we want to make sure that we are extremely competitive, right? We understand our leverage points, we understand the catch points, right? And are we in position to either stab or attack and go make a play and intercept the football, right? So is it a back shoulder? Is it a jump ball type of catch? Is it over the shoulder? What's our leverage?
Problem football
Where's
kid.
the catch point? How can we best challenge and disrupt that? So. And if you are in a situation where you can go make a play on the ball, attack your high point, and
EJ, appreciate the follow, cousin.
Play for your team.
Vaughn, I appreciate the follow.
So now, getting into some of the drill work that we're our progression of all of it, right? We start with a very simple drill. This isn't groundbreaking. This isn't gonna break the internet and anything like that. But we're gonna be extremely detailed in some very simple.
And you got to understand, catch technique is not just a technique you just do it in the game. You got to practice it. Get comfortable with it, understand the technique, trust the technique, and then practice it more, right? Be consistently working on catch technique. If you want to be good at something, you got to consistently do it. Have levels, right? First, work on the foundation, understand the technique, understand staying square, understand moving laterally, not giving ground, right? Then you build from there. Then you can add receivers or somebody giving you a look. Understand where your hand placement is supposed to be, right? All that stuff plays a huge role. It's Jay. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Work on these drills. We're gonna get to it. Watch.
Mirror drill, right? We want to reinforce our footwork of staying square, right? We want to strain. We don't want to lunge. We want to punch, not lunge, right?
Yep.
Don't overextend ourselves. We want to make sure we're working independent feet. So this first drill here, all right, we start in the middle. We start in the middle of a 5-yard stripe. We'll have a receiver and a DB, and again, we're just mirroring side to side, right? As we get.
So ideally, this is kind of a press drill, but it's also a good drill to really focus on matching your eyes where you need to be, right? So you understand that, all right, I have inside leverage. I'm going to move with that inside shade of the receiver. So he's starting off close, which is a good drill. You can also do it at 5 yards. You could do the same drill at 5 yards, but it's better to do it here. And then he's putting his hands.
Get a punch. We don't want to overextend. Don't want to lunge, right?
When he gets to a point, right? You don't want to lunge. See how he kind of lunged a little bit too far. You want to still get a punch and be able to be ready to control him when he releases. So this is just simulating when they get to your toes, when they get in, closing that space, getting to your toes, so you can match the receiver, mirror the receiver to get ready to strike.
The lunge right there, that's not what we want. Right?
Yeah, you don't want that lunge right there.
We want to make sure that our arms are within our frame, right? Just a punch, not a lunge. And move sideways, move our feet, get out independent feet, push, 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 all right? And strain, 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 and not cross over. Now, the next drill that will work is the mirror strain. It's kind of like our level 2 version of it. After we do, level 1 the first couple of days, this is primarily what we'll get to when we want to work some of our catch man stuff, right? So mirror strain is, again, same idea. We just, add a little bit more stress to the drill. So, as we go, right?
So now
we're still working in that same 5-yard stripe, right? We got 2 cones. We'll have 2 receivers now. The first receiver will go to whatever cone we dictate first. The second receiver will work to the opposite cone. All right, and what this does is it gives you about a 2-yard release, right, which isn't a whole lot of stress on us, and then it gives you a 5-yard release that we're trying to cut off, which is a little bit more stressful.
I like this
the
drill.
reason that we do this is most releases are going to be within, a 1 to 2 yard area, right, which is very easy for us. Now, we put more stress by over exaggerating it with that 5-yard release.
Get tuned, stay square. This is actually a really good drill.
2-yard release is going to be a whole lot easier.
This is actually a really good drill. So I'm gonna explain this drill. So now, when you're playing catch technique, right? This drill right here really simulates two type of releases. When the receiver's attacking you, closing your toes, giving you a move at the top, get hands on them. And then when the receiver's stemming away from you and you move in lateral to meet him at a point. I like this drill a lot because those are the type of releases you're going to get in catch technique. They're either going to run away from you or they're going to attack you and give you a move and keep going. So now the first one is he's stemming you a little bit, but you're moving laterally to get hands on him. The second one, he's running away from you. You're moving laterally to get in phase, right? If obviously, as you get laterally and you're in position to get hands on him, get hands on him. But if you can't, you get in phase and get ready to run with the receiver. This is a good drill. Because I don't have any equipment in that the video.
By over exaggerating.
You don't have to use the equipment. You could just use it without equipment. You can have somebody just give you a look. Just making sure that you're staying low, striking, all that stuff.
With that 5-yard release. So if you can cover that, then those simple 1 to 2 yard releases is going to be a whole lot easier for you on game day. So back to the top, right? We have that first receiver running. We probably want him to run a little bit faster, right? But he runs to that cone. We get a cutoff, and then we start straining. You see the difference in his body language, right? It's nice and easy, and then it's, oh crap, I gotta go.
Yep.
Right.
Good.
So that has been big for us and helped.
So Jay, these are some drills that you could do that's gonna help you, right? So it helps you stay calm a little bit, right? A lot of people when they play catch technique, they worried about getting beat deep, that they forget the technique. They just start to open up, they start to panic, they start to give too much ground. So these drills right here will really help you stay square, be more comfortable, understand where your eyes need to be. Right? A lot of people when the receivers get closer to them, the eyes start to rise up. And now your eyes are not disciplined, you're going to fall for every move. But you got to focus on keeping your eyes where it needs to be. Split the receiver in half in catch technique. Move with that leverage. Trust that you're protecting that leverage for a reason. And then get ready to mirror the release. Get ready to meet him at a point. Get ready to strike, kick step, right? All that stuff.
And these guys understand leverage and strain and staying square. So
your eyes, okay.
This drill right here with just a little bit different setup. We added instead of a regular release to it, we added what we call a dive release. So when we get this dive release, right, we want to make sure we're still staying square. Right, we're not crossing over because we got a two-way go at the top. So same idea, just a little.
And this is and I want you guys to look at this. Look at where he starts at. He's outside leverage of the receiver. As he's moving, he maintains that leverage. He doesn't try to beat him and lose his leverage. He maintains that leverage. He trusts that he's protecting that leverage for a reason, right?
Setup, we added instead of a regular release to it, we added what we call a dive release. So when we get this dive release, right, we want to make sure we're still staying square. Right, we're not crossing over because we got a two-way go at the top. So same idea, just a little bit, adding a more specific route concept to this drill. But again, the idea is to stay the same, take a great cutoff angle, right? Don't cross over, and then compete.
What happened?
So here we're
did what's it called? Cut my. Hold on. You guys still able to see that video on YouTube? Make sure I ain't get no copyright strike or anything. I think. No, I ain't get no email, so we good, right? Jay, you still good, right? Make sure you.
We're talking about our mirror flip drill. Now we're talking about the transitions, right? After we're staying square and we've
transitions. This is another point.
And work that way, right? We want to make sure our pad level is right, our feet are right, and our arms are active. So we'll still incorporate staying square. We'll still incorporate moving our feet independently and working laterally. And then we'll open up, making sure our body positioning is good. Our chin is down, our shoulders tilted.
Good.
Active arms, active feet.
Oh, okay. Back
this
now.
Drill
Okay.
Probably has shown, I want to say, some really significant dividends. All right, when this clicks for the guys. Again, we're marrying up our mental processes with our physical processes, right? Just making sure we can have poise and not panic. That's so big for us. Talking
Yes.
about all the time.
Exactly
Poise,
what we talking about,
poise,
Jay.
not panic, right?
Poise, not
The big thing
panicking.
here is the coaching points are dictating the breaking point, not backing up, giving as little ground as possible. We can do that, right? Communicate the corresponding route. So what we're doing here is, as you'll see in the drill, as they recognize the release, they're gonna yell out the corresponding route that we talk about at marrying up with, right? And then strain to react, strain to react. So the really big piece of it is the communication and the reaction.
Okay.
So there I am in the back. I'm giving the receiver a number, all right, that tells him what route to run.
Hold on. I think I know what's going on. I bet it's still good. All right.
And you got a DB set up in front playing catch technique, right? And again, he's going to work his footwork. Right now, he's yelling out the route that he knows is coming, so he's yelling fade, right? We use this as a fade release, right? If they're putting speed on you right now, and they may give you a little hop at the top, a little stutter, a little something at the top, right? But then they break to the slot.
Good. And
So
look at
right
that
now,
kick right there.
fade,
Boom.
fade.
Right here. This is the thing where a lot of people mess up in catch technique. They just cross over and run. Get that kick, get hand on them, and now we out of there, right? That's going to help you widen that release. That's going to help you stay in phase a little bit longer and get ready to run with the receiver.
Matching our mental processing with our physical processing. All right, so here we go. The next one, we get an option release. Anytime we get a skip, a stutter, a hesitation off the ball, we call that an option release. So you see, right?
I like him.
He'll say, no, let me get it again, because that's not the reaction that we want, right? Again, he's yelling option right now, and then we want to try to get attached and get into that option. Take it away. Take it away. Don't let it dictate our reaction, right? We want to go stop it, get attached to it, get into it right now.
That's actually really good.
And then the last one that was, of the big three we talked about, there are more, but these three primary ones is the dive release, right? We talked about it a little bit more before. Excuse that slot receiver, but the dive release, right? We want to stay square. Don't cross over right now, because once they spike back vertical, there is a two-way go. So once you recognize, right, it's declared, now we get on our horses and go cover that thing. So getting into eye breaks, the big part here is going to be snapping your eyes out of it. Why are we going to do this? Because our eyes are the difference between interception, a catch, and a PBU. Right?
Okay.
Making sure we have great eyes.
I can't tell if that's the video or is that me with that doo-doo-doo noise. This is actually a really good breakdown. Give my guy 5 stars real quick. All right, let's get back to it.
Those are second or milliseconds.
Hey, Tay with the flowers. Appreciate you, cousin. Appreciate you, Tay.
We want to make sure we're as disciplined as possible.
I'm going to get on the game after this stream, by the way.
So the big things, again, snap your eyes, race to close the space, and then finish on the ball. So here you'll see, we got him in just a little pedal. I trigger him to the receivers that are 10 yards away. He snaps his eyes and finds the ball.
And I want y'all to see, he finds the receiver out of his break. He reads, all right, break, peek, locate the receiver, drive to the receiver, then find the ball.
Gets the break, snaps his eyes, finds the ball. Pedal, snap his eyes, find the ball.
Oh, not gonna be home. Oh, Diggs. Oh yeah, I forgot the Diggs day. Dang. Okay, yeah. Carnivore. Yeah. So I just got back from vacation, so I'm gonna be doing this more often. I will stream again tomorrow. Honestly, I'm gonna be free a lot now. I'm on summer break a little bit, so I'll be streaming more often. So I'll probably try to stream like 3-4 times a week. I'll be on. Okay, yeah, I'll be on too, Tay. So that's cool. I'm gonna try to be on 3-4 times a week. Go live 3-4 times a week. I'm gonna try to start doing a little bit more of the Glacier Clinic breakdowns. But
the distance of the receiver will determine how long you have to snap your eyes. If you're right there on the receiver's hips.
Before we continue though, drop a like on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, man, drop some likes. Let's run that thing up. Let's get it to 100 likes real quick. 100 likes.
Quick snap. If you're further away, you better drill your eyes and close the space before you snap your eyes. So here,
You got a specific time done with a. Honestly, I don't have a specific time. It's gonna be. What time is it today? It'll probably be around 2:30, 2:30, 3, 4, around that time.
here we're watching the nickel right
So
here.
around those times.
And then you
Tomorrow,
just cut those
it'll
parts.
probably be around 1, 2.
That's real easy. That's a nice, easy release form. Cut it off. All right, disrupt that release.
I bet right here.
Attach to it and ready to compete if that ball shows up.
You want to have your feet active. So you don't want to, like, when I say active, you don't want to just be like, boo doo doo. You know what I'm saying? That look crazy. You don't want to have your feet like going completely crazy, but you want to have some type of movement in your feet. So now you can move with them quick, react to it quickly, right? You don't want to stop. You don't want to have dead feet though. You don't want your feet to be flat and you sitting still, right? You want to have some type of movement and then mirror the release.
So here we are. All right, down in the red zone, putting a little bit man. We get an option release, and these guys know, right? He's a little bit more aggressive to step down into it, right? Because we know in the red zone, we're more likely to get an option release because of the space, time, and spacing of everything.
And so if you can inch back a little bit. Just remember where you at though. So if it's a goal line or stick situation, you don't want to give too much ground, right? You know what I'm saying? Especially in the goal line, you do not want to be giving ground. You want to be in position to get hands on. I just said appreciate you, Carnival. Appreciate you, cousin. Hopefully I come through. You know, a lot of things. I'm really random with these streams, but hopefully I come through tomorrow. But yeah, if you're gonna press, you can inch back. You can motor. If you're not that fast, you can give a little bit of ground. But the biggest thing is you want to make sure you're in position to get hands on the receiver, right? Get hands on the receiver and make him take wide releases, right? Make him get him off his landmark. Get him off his landmark because that's more time he's spending at a spot and not less time getting to where he needs to be, right? That means that if he's not getting to where he needs to be, quarterback looks over there, he's not where he needs to, he's looking for somewhere else, right? Matt, shoot. Connor, you ain't the only one, man. My varsity guys are struggling right now too, man.
Horizontal routes down in the red zone. But all right, there he is, steps down into it, disrupts the release. He's attached, competing through the break.
If the offense is like around 50, you can inch back a little bit. Oh, look like I see everybody getting high. Something might have happened. Hold on, you can inch back a little bit there, right? Or you can scooch into a catch.
Get an option release because of the space, time, and spacing of everything. Need more horizontal routes down in the red zone. But all right, there he is, steps down into it, disrupts the release. He's attached, competing through the break, ready to contest. We had some fun with it. Here we are. Again, we get an option release. You see him step down into it, right? Disrupt the release, compete through the break, contest.
Brian Branch. Look up Brian Branch. He's a good one. You can look up a lot of nickel corners. Brian Branch. What's his name? The dude from Denver. I can't remember his name. He plays for Denver. Can't remember his name. 20 or 20. Oh, dang. Brian Branch though. Brian Branch for sure. You could look at whenever what's his name's playing in the slot. What's his name? Seahawks dude from Illinois. You could look at him. You can watch some of his college film too. Asante Samuel got a couple good reps of catch technique.
Disrupt the release.
That's a good rep.
Get
That's
attached,
a good rep.
compete through the break.
That's a good rep.
That's what we want all day long.
That's a good rep. Dubai.
Now we're working this dive release. Again,
They see you.
square.
You in Dubai right now, JC?
We're competing through the break.
It's a good rep.
and then we're
Finish
ready to
that.
contest.
Good rep. Staying square, moving with his
Slide,
leverage.
And then we're ready to contest.
This is a good rep. Watch this. I'm gonna slow it down for y'all. So he's lining up. Where did he start out at? Outside leverage. Receiver stemming us. He's stemming with his the outside half of the receiver, maintaining his leverage as he's doing it.
Now we're working this.
Right? Still, good, good.
Again, we're staying square.
And he stays squares the whole time. Get to point to get hands on him. Finds the ball, go make a play.
Slide, staying matching the foot.
It's the Nichols coach, Kyle Barnes from James Madison.
Work, competing through the break, and then we're contesting and we make a big play. Same idea, right? We talked about they have a two-way go on the dive release. So you get that dive release.
Just maintain your leverage. Good job.
Sail ball, right?
Go play through his hands.
We go back, we're staying square.
Good job kicking.
We do a good job of disrupting the release. Not great competing through the break, but we finish, right? We say it all the time. We said it before. It's not a sin to give up a catch. It's a sin not to compete for a catch.
Yep.
Right? And here we compete, even though one of our processes wasn't correct or wasn't great. We finish, and we end up getting the ball out on this play. We're staying square. We give a little bit of ground. We don't really disrupt the release too much, but we're square, and that saves us, right?
I would say Bates,
we're square for
Minka.
And that puts us in a position to compete, right, and contest. That's all we can
I think those two.
Compete and contest at the end of the day.
Did he weave or crossover? He weaved. He weaved into a kick.
We compete
on that first rep.
We contest.
Let's see this
Here
one.
we are again.
Stay square.
We're staying square. We
Good.
got option release. We give a little bit of ground, right? We'd love to see him step down into it, right?
Yeah.
But he stops giving ground once he recognized the option release.
Now he's out of there.
Eyes out of this thing. Look at the eyes, right?
Drive to the
Snap,
receiver. Go get it.
closes.
That's a good rep. That's a good rep. I like that rep.
Some game reps. So here we go. We got our guy right
Outside
here. Top of
leverage.
Nickel.
Maintaining.
Ground, right, but we're square. Right?
Crossed over a little bit, but it's fine.
We're competing through the break, and then we contest.
Good job.
We're square. We're competing through the break, and then we contest. We watch our nickel again. We're square. We're trying to disrupt the release, right? We get a little crossed over.
You don't want to. This is the reason why we don't want to cross over.
That's
Just move
okay,
laterally.
right? Disrupting the release. We're competing through the break.
But he's still in good position.
Get a big time play right there. Right, and then this stuff, right? You can't speak enough of it, right? The energy.
The energy, man. I'm telling you.
We'll watch our nickel up top.
Oh, 275.
We're square.
275 likes. Appreciate y'all, TikTok. 275. Let's see if we can get to 300. 300. Appreciate y'all.
We're disrupting. We're competing. And if this ball's on target, we're ready to contest.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to watch this last rep, and I got a couple clips we're going to break down.
Same thing with the nickel. We're square.
Good. Staying
We're
square.
disrupting,
Good.
We're competing. We're ready to
That's a
contest.
good rep. That's a good rep. Down here at the bottom.
Square.
Get hands on. Stay on them. In phase.
Watch the nickel up top. We get a little motion, out motion.
Motion. Bump it. Bump it. Okay.
Know
Stay
where
square.
we're going. Stay square. Disrupt.
Good.
Compete.
Let go.
Contest if they put this thing on the money.
Good. Let's see what else you got. That's what this.
So the next part of it, right? If things are not ideal, we want to get into our out of phase series. And our out of phase series again is just giving guys the poise when situations are not ideal.
Sometimes it's dead. You don't want it to be dead. You don't want it to be dead. You want to have some type of active feet. When they get that skip release, they're jumping forward and they're keeping their feet dead, right? You don't want to do that. You want to still have some type of movement in your feet, so now you can kick. Now, they are a little bit advanced. They understand the technique. They are really putting themselves in position to use their hands. So when they jump forward, their feet stop, but they get hands on the receiver, right? But if he's continuing stemming us, you don't want to have your feet stop. You want to have your feet, some type of movement in your feet to move laterally to get hands on them, right?
You still have to compete and you still have to contest on the ball. All right, we talk about that so much. You have to finish. You have to finish.
Finish.
Straining to recover is number one.
Yes.
Right? Identify the shoulder tilt. All right, and then violent hands.
Violence.
That is non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part of progression, we're just playing through the hands.
That's a good
You'll
drill.
see these guys, right? If you watch up top, or excuse me, on the 10-yard line, the DB, he'll be squatted down a little bit in a lowered position with his helmet below the chin. All right, you'll have your receiver, and we're looking for anything. We're looking for anything that tells us this ball is coming from, eyes big, shoulder tilt, hands going. We want to be able to react off of anything and just take a little bit of power back from situations.
Good. And finish. It's good.
We go.
Simple but very
Just look at
effective
the
drill.
Separation timing of when the ball is actually, or when the hands go versus when the DB's hands go. When the receiver's hands go to when the DB's hands go. So here, the next one, now we had a little bit of movement to it. Again,
This
we're
is when
racing
you
to
beat.
recover. If that ball shows up before we get back in phase, violent hands.
To the receiver's hands. Yep.
Right, and pin the hands to
Went black again.
the side. All right.
I don't know what's going on.
It's not.
Let's see. I don't know what's going on, cousin.
Enough just to get one hand down. These receivers are too good this day and age to make all these one-handed catches. Got to get them both down. And then the last part of the progression, right? If you do, for some reason, after you get beat, after you're out of phase, if you do strain and you actually recover, right? Now you go play ball again. You go play in phase, right? You go make a play on the ball. This is how we prevent panic. This is how we prevent PIs.
It's working for me.
So again, not ideal in the first two phases, but just look at the timing. Look at the timing, right? Right now is when this guy knows the ball is coming, right? Shoulder tilt, the eyes are probably big, right? His body's tracking the ball, right? And you tell me, right? You look at this thing.
That's actually great timing. That's a good job out here finishing the play too.
Good rep right there. Same idea with here. It's not same idea. It's not ideal in the first two phases.
Play
but
through
we're
the
going to
hands.
compete and contest, right? The timing of his hands go up to the timing of the DB's hand. Now we get a little swat, but the timing of the trigger is pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Crossed over there.
Watching him again. Not
Running
ideal
away
first
from
two,
us.
but he actually recovers, right? And then the poise to go make a play.
This is what I'm saying, guys. We got to be able to understand when to play the receiver's hands and when not to play the receiver's hands. Or when we're in position to lean and locate, go up and attack the ball. We got to make sure that we are calm, under control, poised when the ball is in the air. So now we know, all right, the ball is in the air. I'm in great position. Let me go make a play, right? We got to understand that. You got to understand that.
Huge. Again, not
Crossed
ideal.
over. Yep.
But we're sprinting to recover. We're straining. Shoulders go back. We'll get our eyes back.
Shoulder.
That's not going to get caught.
Yep.
Not ideal. Hands. Right,
Good.
hands.
Good finish. Good finish.
Hands. And then a couple in-game reps from, some other spots. You watch that corner up top. Gets beat off the line. But that's okay. We understand we got to strain and recover. Hands. And again,
Good.
1 million reps.
Mm-hmm.
Good things happen.
Yep.
Put that ball away. Here we go. Watch the corner up top again.
Nickel top.
Beat at the line.
Beat.
Don't worry. Strain and recover. Have some poise, right? Hands.
Good job. This is why I always say the
Hands,
play's not
right?
finished.
Get off the field. Right? Big
Right?
time play.
You might have got beat. Okay. Now,
on
listen, he
top.
still got to catch the ball. The ball got to be in a good spot. You
Isn't
never
terrible
know.
as a gate, but isn't terrible as far as separation, right? He feels like he needs to play through the hands, right? Hands. A million reps and recognizing, the body language and the indicators of when the ball is coming.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep. All right. Give my guy a star. Save that. All right, so now I got a couple reps that we're going to watch of catch technique. So I posted this not too long ago. It was a couple of drills. All right. This is Texas Tech. They're working their catch technique against wide receivers. Objectives of is to get the receivers outside this box. Receivers is trying to stay within this box. All right. So main thing we got to remember is remember your leverage, right? Remember your leverage. Remember your leverage. Split the receiver in half. Oh, whoa. Split the receiver in half. All right. Move with that leverage. And now be ready to be in position. Mirror the release. Stay square laterally. Good. That's a good rep. That's a very good rep. I like him. Feet is moving, active, moving laterally. Kick. Hands. Wide in him. He's outside the box. We're good. Good rep. You got any tips for corner? Tall, log arms, 140. Yeah, so first thing, Spence, first thing is make sure to sub to the YouTube channel. Got a whole bunch of videos for DBs, corners, safeties, a lot of corner stuff. Press man technique to catch technique to coverage technique to cover 2, cover 3. Understanding film, how to watch film, a whole bunch, like all the advice, any tips is all over there, right? But biggest thing is technique. Work on your technique, build confidence in your technique. Understand when you're in position and when you're not in position, when you're in phase and when you're out of phase, right? Understand when you're in great position to lean and locate, attack the ball at the highest point. That's another one. And when you're in press, you want to stay square and add that kick step in your press, right? Be important. Those tips right there is a lot, but those right there will take your game to a whole nother level if you really dial in on all those tips and tricks right there. And then obviously sub to YouTube channel. Oh, I forgot I'm dropping a video today, guys, by the way. So that'll be dropping in about 3-4 hours. 3 hours and 30 minutes. I already got that thing scheduled on YouTube. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Hope that answered your question, Spence. But yeah, hit that YouTube channel, cousin. Team Eyeland. Hit that YouTube channel. Got all the stuff you need, brother. Can you explain what the DB is doing wrong to be in bad position? Oh, you kind of explained it in the video. I guess TikTok. I guess you guys a mad delay. A lot of it was just they didn't kick step to meet the receiver at a point. They shot the wrong hand, or the receiver's just running away from it and they didn't strain to get to him, right? So those right there are the main reasons. I'll go over these reps right here for you though. So right here, so if you look at this rep compared to this, is it the same rep? So this rep, he's staying square, which is good, but watch what he does. Open the gate, right? Still in decent position, not bad, but look at that position comparing to that position. And that was just because he stayed square, he kicked right there. See how he's kicking? And now he's widening him. And now we're in position, right? Comparing to this one where he kind of just opened up a little bit and got his hands on him. And there's no kick, right? See that? No kick, opened up and got his hands on him. Slight difference right there, but it makes a huge difference, right? This guy's in our way. We could be completely missed. Move, man. Dang. Get out of here. There we go. Not bad. Not bad, but he kind of did the same thing as the last rep. He got hands on him instead of kicking right here. Now we got a kick, and he's a little too high. He kind of opened up. And look where the hand placement is. The back of his jersey. This is a good job by the receiver dipping that shoulder, though. But we're kind of out of position right now. He's still in great position, though. Decent position. But we want to make sure, when we work in these drills, we want to make sure our technique is flawless. We try to make it as flawless as possible because now when you're in the game, it becomes easier. Not bad. Not bad. I like that. I like that. We just got to make sure we finish. Don't get this receiver and move us like that. I don't like that. But I like here, move, boom, hands. Just make sure you move, stay within that leverage. So in catch technique, it's not necessarily chest to chest. Man turn is that's where you want to get chest. Catch technique, you want to get to that shade of the leverage, right? So if I'm playing inside leverage, I want to get into that inside half of the receiver, right? Because now I want to still protect my leverage and still widen him to where I want him to go, right? So you don't want to necessarily get chest to chest with him and create a two-way go. You want to slightly shade, but you're still kind of chest to chest, but slightly shade to your leverage. Hope that makes sense, Jay. Man, you better watch. I'm about to send the Matrix and download using these Monday. Yes, sir. It should be once this stream is over, it should be on YouTube. You might be able to watch it on YouTube. That's a good rep. That's a good rep. Oh, we watched this already. Hold on. This is a replay. All right. Hopefully I don't get no. See now, look at his stance. He's not square. He already set himself up. Right? That's why stance is important, guys. Stance is important. It sets you up for success. Right? Your stance. Right? If you tilting, you know what I'm saying? Some people like to tilt, to tilt the body. I don't like tilting just because I could just shade outside and still be square. Because I want to be able to move square. I don't want to tilt and then still give him an angle to break inside, right? I want to be able to stay square so I can move laterally, get my hands on him. So he's tilting, forcing him inside, and he still gets beat outside. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I like to line up square. And another thing is, we're in the goal line. Don't give too much ground. We want to be in position to get hands on him. Right? That was too easy. That was too easy. Right? That was way too easy. Next rep. Now, this is down the field, so I can't remember who was this. Somebody asked this about what playing catch technique down the field, and if you can give ground. You could give ground. You can give ground, right? But you don't want to give too much ground. So this is a good example right here by, I think, is that Jackson? Eddie? So, I can't remember. Is that Eddie Jackson? Might be Eddie Jackson. So he's pedaling, right, into a catch. He gets to a point, he's in catch. He remembers his leverage. He doesn't panic. He gives us an inside move, but we still playing outside leverage. Boom, right here, catch. Go get it. Right? So there's times where you can pedal. I don't recommend pedaling. I recommend more scooching into a catch. So you're giving ground, scooch, stop, get hands on them. But you don't want to pedal, and then stop your feet. Right? If you're going to scooch into a catch, you 1, 2, 3, catch. But you don't want to pedal, stop your feet, try to catch. Because now, if you miss, GG's. Right? It's GG's. What do you do when the receiver's outside release immediately while trying to stay square? You move laterally. Right? So, doing the Glacier Clinic video we watched, he explained it. You want to move laterally. So if he's running outside, he's not even running straight. You move laterally, and you want to meet him at a point. So you don't. So if he's getting to a point where you have to give ground a little bit, get ground and get to where meet him at a point. Now, if he's going crazy out of there, you might have to just turn and run, right? But you got to fight to get in phase. If you're moving laterally and you feel like you're being positioned, I'm muted. Am I muted? Hold on. Am I muted for real? Oh, yeah. I was about to say, don't. Hey, hey, G. When it comes to this, technical difficulties, man, I get a little bit, I get a little antsy. So, oh, okay, yeah, bet. Appreciate you. Your mama. So what was I saying? So if you're gonna meet him at a point, you gotta judge it. All right, if I meet him at a point, am I in a position to get hands on him, or am I not in a position to get hands on where I gotta fight to get in phase with him? Right. So you gotta understand that, because now if he's running away from you and you try to get hands on him and you're not in a position to get hands on him, you're gonna get beat deep. So you got to make sure, all right, I can move lateral, meet him at a point, get hands on him, run with him. Oh, I can't. Let me get in phase. Get work to get in phase. Hope you heard that, AG. Ski. Tips on how to guard short, fast guys in the slot. Let me see. So biggest thing when you're going against shorter, fast guys, right? You got to understand that they want to do a lot of moves, right? They want to do a lot of things to get you off your landmark, make you hesitate, make you freeze so they can run by you. Biggest thing is always remember your leverage. So if you're playing catch technique, right? Like this guy right here, he has, let's just say this is the inside. Inside, right? He has inside leverage. Inside leverage. Split the receiver in half. These are your key points. Near hip, near shoulder. That's what this leg right here. That's where you're looking at, right? Split them in half, and that's your keys. Now, you want to move with that leverage. So receivers, when they start doing all this nonsense right here, if he's still in that same line, stay patient, right? And you want to make sure you're in position to get hands on them. Now, when they start to run out away from you, move laterally. And I always tell guys, if you can get hands on a receiver, get hands on them. If you can't, understand where you have help. So if we're playing catch technique, we might be playing cover one. You got help inside, right? Deep middle, right? That might be your help. You got help in the sideline. You're in the goal line, end line, and sideline is extra help, right? So use those against when you going against a faster, quicker receiver. But the biggest thing is eye discipline. Split the receiver in half, and then make sure you move to get hands on the receiver. Don't lunge at him. Make sure your feet are in position to get hands on him. Coach Check Elias Williams, transfer porter, safety from Auburn. Dude's legit. Oh, yeah, I definitely will. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah, Jay, yeah. I make videos, yeah. Check the YouTube channel. I got a whole video about catch technique. I got 2 catch technique videos. I got slot DB videos. I got press man, off man coverage, press man coverage, cover 3, cover 2 for safeties and corners. Like, I got drills on the YouTube channel, man. Check that video out, Jay. And then on TikTok and IG, we post things almost daily about tips and tricks, drills, all that stuff. So check that out. All right, let's get back to this one. Now, so, this ideally, it started off good. It started off real good. Patient. Stay square. He's moving with his leverage, right? He still got inside leverage. He didn't lose his leverage. Got hands on him. Boom. Now, remember, you got the end line and the sideline out here as extra defender. He's going to run out of space. So now we don't need to be ready trying to fight to be over top. We can play that low hip right here, right? Eyes. That's all it is. I know that the quality is not the best, but our eyes are just not where it needs to be. It should be right here on this receiver's hip. Remember what I told you. Near shoulder, near hip, that leverage, right? You protect the inside leverage. You should be moving with that inside half of the receiver. If he wants to run here and run out here, we got this white line right here, extra defenders right there. right? And on top of that, it's a harder throw for a quarterback to fit the ball in this area, right? Compared to if you get beat inside, now he got all this space to make sure he can make a play, right? Make a throw. You get what I'm saying? So you got to make sure our eyes is disciplined. Eyes are disciplined. Right there. Right there. Eyes are disciplined. Eye discipline is key, guys. How can you tell receivers? Ooh, Colin. Man, that's a good one. All right, so I'm going to break it down for you. Break it down for you. First thing first. Oh, whoa. First thing first, cousin. Make sure to sub to the YouTube channel. If you haven't. All right, sub to the YouTube channel. Lots of stuff. All right, lots of videos. This is a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm going to break it down for you. So, where is that video at? We'll talk this through with you too. Or maybe I did a short. No, I didn't. I'm going to break it down. The 5, 10, 15 rule. 5, 10, 15 rule.
Make sure you stick to that.
Oh, whoa.
Now we're going to really break, right? Now it's a shotgun. It's a catch it. Now we're just pointing to it.
This is...
Lace up as long.
There it is, right here.
Speed it. Pedal fit.
There we...
Sunrise.
Okay. All right, so breaking it down for you. Breaking it down to a T. Make sure you watch this video when you get a chance. But most routes, right, at 5 yards, we know it's quick game. So if we're in man coverage, playing off man or press. If we're playing press, we keying that, we give receiver, give us a release, boom, boom, boom. We're mirror, kick step, boom. We're keying the receiver's hip drop. At 5 yards, if his hip drop, we know it's a quick game. It's what? Slant. 5 yard in, and especially if he's at the bottom of the numbers, right? Bottom of the numbers, he's closer to the sideline. We suspected something inside. If he's at the top of the numbers and he gives us the hip drop, we know it's a outbreaking route, right? Because there's more space to the sideline. Now this bottom of the numbers, less space to the sideline, more space inside. Now if you're playing off man, you read the QB step, he gives you a 3-step. QB drop, he gives you a 3-step. Shoulders pointed you immediately. You know it's quick game based on where his alignment pre-snap, right? You know, okay, he's at the bottom numbers. If it's a quick game, he's probably going to run a slant or a 5 yard in. Top of the numbers, it's probably going to speed out, right? Splitting the numbers, now is a mixture of both. He can run that hitch. He can run that slant. He can run that quick out, right? So 5 yards is the re-step phase in off man. All right. Now we're going to get to 10 yards. 10 yards right here. This is where a lot of routes get broken down. So we're going to break it down again, right? Bottom of the numbers. He's closer to the sideline. We're expecting something more inside, right? So now if he breaks and the hip drop around 10, dig, post, a curl, 10 yard in, right? Those are the routes that we can expect at the bottom of the numbers, right? Because now most routes, if he runs a post, he might stem us in a little bit, square us up. He might break around 8 to 10 yards for a post, right? A dig, he might break at 10 to 12 for a dig, right? A curl, he might break at 12 back to 10, right? So those are the routes that we can expect. So when I say 5, 10, 15, it's around that area. It doesn't have to necessarily be 10 yards exactly, but it's around 10 yards. So it could be 12 yards, it could be 13, could be 11, could be 8 yards, but it's around that area, right? Now, at the top of the numbers, we're expecting more outbreaking route. So we can get that 10 yard out. We can get that stick route, right? Run to the sticks and stop, right? And as he gets closer in, now we can expect a corner, right? There's a lot more space out here. He's closer to the hash. A lot more space out here. We could expect a corner route. He could stem us a little bit. He could go from, he's running his route. He stem us at 8. Stem us in a little bit like he's running a post. and break it off at 10 or 12, right? So all that stuff. So 10 yards is the intermediate routes and breaking for louder routes. Yeah, I did say this on our YouTube video. Yep, I did say this on YouTube.
After we get our restep and it's not a
All right, let me get that.
we gotta snap our eyes
Where's the...
back. Yards. I like
Okay, so now this is 15 yards. So a lot of routes, there's not really a lot of breaking routes at 15 yards, right? 15-ish is usually comeback or fade, right? Comeback or fade. That's how I break it down. So now it depends on situation. If it's 3rd and 20, they could probably break a route at 15 trying to get to the first down. But a normal route, right, at 15 yards, they're not going to run a 15-yard post, right? That's going to take too long to get there, right? They're not going to run a 15-yard post corner. That's going to take, you know what I'm saying? But it will, if it's, let me get back on track. Now, if it's, he could run a comeback at 15, 18 back to 15. So as he's running with him, you see the hip drop. You stay on the upfield shoulder as you break. You see the hip drop. Now we know it's a comeback. If the hip don't drop around 15-ish yards, now we know it's a fade. And this is when we get into that lean and locate. He's running. The hip don't drop at 15. Then he looks back for the ball. All right, we're in position. We're in face. Lean into him a little bit. Locate. Go attack the ball, right? So this is why I say be aware of situational routes like stick routes or deep out routes to convert the first down. Keep in mind wide receiver splits and alignments, right? Very important to stay disciplined. Keep eyes on the receiver's hip for the hip drop. If a hip don't drop, like I just said, doesn't drop around 15-ish yards, be ready for that fade. Be in position to lean and locate. When the receiver is about to or already broken your cushion, understand that, right? So, Colin, I hope you answer your question and all that, cousin. That's a lot of information. But watch this video, man. It's a great video that explains it a lot. And it really will help you in man coverage once you understand it. And then on top of that, you watch film and you start to see it. And the game become a little bit slower for you. You don't need someone for all those drills. You can be you don't necessarily need someone. You could just do it on air. But if you could get somebody to help you for the drills, Jay, it would help you a lot, right? Moby. Hey, yeah. Appreciate you, Moby. Yeah, definitely show it to your son.
it's the cushion phase. This is when the receiver is starting to break our cushion. So as we're backpedaling, it's time for us to turn and run.
Yes, sir, Colin. No problem, cousin.
And open up, run with the receiver. So now,
All right. How do you know when to give ground or when to give in 1v1 and catch? So, ideally, when you're playing catch, you don't want to give ground. It's up to you how comfortable you are, right? If the receiver's screaming vertical and you feel like he's attacking you fast, you can give ground a little bit. But it also depends on how comfortable you are on catch technique because you do not necessarily want to give ground playing catch technique. That right? You want to stay square. You want to hold your ground and be ready to move laterally to get hands on him, right? But if you're not really comfortable standing, like holding your ground and moving laterally right away, you can give a little bit of ground into a catch technique, right? That's how it should be. But you got to decide, all right, pre-snap, I'm playing catch technique, I'm sticking with it, right? You don't want to go into the ball snap and then you start pedaling, then all of a sudden you playing catch technique and you're playing catch technique using catch 15 yards down the field, right? You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand the difference and understand when you want to play catch technique and when you don't. All right. What should you do if he's fast and shifty? Technique is going to be very important, Colin. Technique for sure. But this is also understanding routes is also going to help you. Because receivers can make routes look completely different. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to break at a point. They're going to have to run that same route. So if you understand, all right, he's at the bottom of the numbers, but he's stemming me more outside to break inside. Like I know my leverage, I'm going to just stay inside a little bit because I know he's going to end up coming back inside. If he wants to run outside and break outside and he's at the bottom of numbers, it's going to be a harder throw for the quarterback. I'm going to be in a better position to make a play too because he's going to have to run out of space, right? So a lot of times you don't want to panic when the receiver starts being shifty and doing all that stuff and being fast. Now, you might open up a little bit earlier if he breaks your cushion, if he's a fast receiver, but you still want to make sure your technique is sound. You still want to understand route concept, understand the pre-snap reads, where the receiver's alignment is at. All that stuff plays a huge role, and that will help you understand, okay, no matter how fast this guy is, I know what route I can expect, and I can be in better position to stop him. Yes, that's a good drill. Yeah, that's a good way of working stuff like that, carnivore. Without even a football, just understanding it. You know, when a lot of DBs, when the ball gets involved, then they start techniques all over the place. They look completely different. But when there's no ball, they start to see it better. They start to worry about the route more. They start to understand splits, coverages, all that stuff. Trust me, it's funny because we do DB drills. DBs look great. Then we get to one-on-ones. The ball's in the air. God dang. Technique out the window. People panicking, dropping picks, not even in phase, looking back when they're not in phase. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? We just worked the drill, guys. So we speak in the same language, carnivore. Yes. Jabbar Muhammad is a great one. Somebody asked about nickel person to watch. Jabbar Muhammad is a great DB to watch, especially when he's playing in the nickel. Bullets flying. For sure. All right.
I like to limit certain routes.
All right, so watch this best man coverage tips and tricks. Tips to lock down anyone. Great video. All right. Let me see. Let's go back to the channel. Let's go back to the channel. This is the tackling video I was talking about, football kid. There's another video right here to train your eyes. Good video right here. Press, if you just trying to understand press, it's a great video right here to understand press. Safeties, catch technique, another good video. Off man coverage. Press technique. This video right here shows different type of press technique that you can use. How to play cover 3. All that stuff. This is our workout video. We dropped this last week. Another one's dropping today. Got a couple good ones, man. So definitely check it out when you guys get a chance. But we're going to have to end the stream, guys. It's been a good minute. I will be streaming again tomorrow. Playing cover 4 on the field side is my hardest. Ooh, so I'll tell you this. You got to understand, if you're to the field side, that's a longer throw. So you're going to have to, the biggest thing is getting a little bit more depth so you can break, right? You're going to be, if you have more depth, you're going to be in better position to make more plays. But if you not in good position, the receiver's on your toes, right? Now it's like you and the receiver knows where he's going. He's got a higher chance of completing that ball, right? If you get enough depth to see everything, you can see the quarterback pointing shorter towards you. You can see the receiver break down, right? All that stuff. Now you can react. Yeah, we do that too. More pattern matching, which is the right thing to do, I think, just because a lot of DBs, when they're playing zone coverage, they try to bait quarterbacks and they don't understand that quarterbacks can still fit the ball in certain areas. You're trying to bait him, but he's going to make that pass because he can, right? Good quarterbacks, right? So you got to understand that. And a lot of times DBs react to the ball in the air instead of reacting to the receiver, the long arm action, right? They're not reacting to the long arm action. They're reacting to the ball in the air, and then it's already too late, right? Carnivore, I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. I'll be streaming again tomorrow. That's the end of the stream, guys. Make sure to. Whoa. Make sure to follow us on our YouTube. Follow us on all our platforms. Sub to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Hit that notification bell. We're dropping a new video today. It's a good one. Make sure to Tap in and make sure to tune in for tomorrow's stream. I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of y'all week. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Did I answer everybody? Answered everybody, right?